What's up, my friends? I hope you're well. I tell you, I've been getting emails, and I've seen posts on YouTube, and you may have as well. If you've been composing long enough, you know who Native Instruments is. And a great company that has some great developers. And a lot of people are nervous right now because apparently there was an announcement earlier this week that they were in insolvency, which is basically there's a pre-bankruptcy or post-bankruptcy filing that leaves the company open to selling different parts up to different people. And it's nerving because I've put a lot of money into Native Instruments and I love it. I love their product. You know, they've done some incredible things. I don't know where this is going to go, but I do have to know this, and this is why I'm not real nervous right now. Some of those same developers are going to go, I think I say go where the money is, but they're going to go where a company's going to bring them in and say, hey, let's come over here and continue what we're doing and build a even bigger future for this. I mean, it's the same as like when Personas parted in ways with the Studio One and Fender bought them out. The developers in Germany are still working with Fender, and they're along that same team. They just changed it to Fender Studio Pro and some things, which is kind of weird. Even being a guitar player, it's really weird because people don't play guitar like, this is like a guitar DAW now. What's going on with that? You know, it's not the case, really. It just isn't the case. It's still Studio One Pro, but they just choose to name it a little differently, which is weird. I mean, Logic Pro just came out with 12 and changed the icon, which hasn't shown up on my computer, but I think it changed on iPad, the one for iPad or something. Just very weird. Small picky stuff that I don't care about. As long as it's the same Logic Pro I'm using and I love it, I'm good with that. In fact, there's a couple of cool things they've done, but I think they just kind of rolled out a 12. If I know Apple and Logic Pro, they rolled it out in order to finish that series of 11 into 12, and I think bigger things are to come. Because if you look what between 11 and 12, what Apple's done, if you're a Logic Pro user, you see even between 10, 10 and a half to 12 now, what they have brought to the table is incredible. And they ain't paid for one update, which I think is cool too. So they just put in some new options if you don't want to buy it, which I recommend you buy Logic Pro and then get the free updates instead of subscribing to it, guys. And that's just me, but they give you the option and they'll bundle all the subscription with the which the cool thing they are doing is if you want to subscribe, you can, I think there's a bundle with everything, even iPad Pro to Logic and all that in one if you want to subscribe to that, which is cool, but I digress on that point. I just hope it doesn't get to the point where a company starts going, okay, if you're going to use Native Instrument stuff, it's all subscription now. You can't go any further. Like, I just spent a bunch of money on this stuff. And I would like to think that people who bought it are going to get to keep that. But going forward, I don't know what that's going to be. You know, the whole VST and DAW market has changed quite a bit, and it makes a lot of these little small developers nervous. But I'll tell you, in my point of this is that the small developers, I know John Mayer has his own, and Venus Theory does his own. I don't think he sells them. I think he gives them away. Then I don't know really what he's doing. I haven't checked lately. But a lot of these guys are so smart. They're doing their own apps and their own VSTs. And I think they should feel better knowing that the independent guys can specifically do their own instruments and build upon them in a more efficient way where there's not a massive amount of cost and overhead. It's a few guys that are developing it together and teaming up. And all their eggs are not in that one basket. Now, I'm not downplaying that, saying that it's easy to do that stuff or there's no cost involved, because I can guarantee you, even from talking to John Mayer and his Somerville Sounds instruments, which I love dearly, you need to go check them out, by the way. He said there's some cost involved in that. I mean, you're starting a business and you're doing things, you got costs involved. When he had to partner with Native Instruments to do his VSTs, I'm sure there was some cost involved. He just sent an email out because he's a little nervous about where is that going to go with us being able to host our instruments. Because, mind you, Contact is a great host for instruments. It really is. Omnisphere is amazing for doing extensions and stuff, and which I have to say, Omnisphere extensions are a little bit of a different beast, but still one and the same in their own right. You can still develop an instrument with Omnisphere extensions, and just doing it all in Omnisphere, and there's a lot of things you can bring in, your own samples and their samples, and doing a lot of cool things. And you see a lot of companies that are doing like stuff for Omnisphere. They're doing stuff for Contact, and they're doing also stuff for other synths as well. You know, UHE stuff and various other synth makers and such, instrument makers. And I think that's cool, you know, being multi-platform. I think Matt Bowler is doing that, The Unfinished. I use some of his stuff, and I absolutely love it. I think his Omnisphere extensions are amazing. They have come very handy here lately. They have. Though I've always said I've got to start thinking outside the box more going forward in the future, and there's some things that may change for where I'm doing music. But, you know, not a rush to that anytime soon, you know, but I need to evolve into certain ways. And I think that one of the coolest things that I'm learning is that you can create your own instruments from samples if you really just work and practice. And if you want a particular instrument that you want to sample and create, you can do as many as you want. If you can put it, I think Omnisphere sampler is incredible. You can do it. Native Instruments has a great sampler. Not to mention, there's a lot of other companies that have good samplers. But Logic Pro has great samplers. Their quick sampler is incredible, and their drum machine designer, and their you do your quick sampler optimize, which really works well with a lot of the pitch stuff. And I've done that before, and I love it, man. I created samples out of the coolest things to create music with, and as nervous as I am, because I put a lot of money in the Native Instruments over the years, the one thing I will say is that a lot of those instruments are from different developers that could part into different directions, and there would be a different host, and that's okay. It might make things easier for us. It may be a better host. I don't know. You may not be Contact. It may be something else. I'm not going to go as far as to assume that, but I think it'll be cool because Heaviosity does a lot in Native, but they're their own company. I've bought a lot of their instruments. And as smart as Heaviosity is, I would like to think that Heaviosity might break off and go, hey, here's our own host here, or we're going to make them independently VSTs. Some of you, this might be over your head, maybe not, but if you've been composing music a while, you know what I'm talking about. So I think the cool thing about this is that the world is our oyster. It may bring the cost of things down, or it may open the market for better things, or things that have simplified things the most, to where we're not just fighting with every time they do an update with Native or something. And we've got 10 different Contact instruments in our DAW, which I kind of wish Native would just update it and not go, oh, you can't use Contact 10. Well, I've got 6 through 10 I'll never do anything with. I got to get them out, and it's a pain in the butt. Let's just overwrite and have one Contact player and keep it updated. So that's not me being negative on Native Instruments, it's a suggestion, but at this point, I don't think the developers there have time to listen to that right now. I think their biggest focus is on trying to find a new home for these, like Isotope, which is a little nervy because Isotope's an incredible company. But finding homes for these entities and companies that will continue to develop this product going forward. At the end of the day, folks, we gotta deal with the cards that we're dealt. We gotta work with the cards we're dealt. I think we'll be fine. I think it's okay. My advice is don't let a news story freak you out. You know, we panic, but if you just stop and think, I think we're going to be fine. I think the word insolvency and bankruptcy scares the living daylights out of people. The insolvency is like it's completely going away. I don't see that happening because you've got a lot of independent VST and instrument makers and plug-in designers using Contact. And they may just go, well, we're an independent VST now. Reinstall it, and it works with any DAW, and it's a VST3 or whatnot. And that's okay, too. I think that's even better. either way, it's not a problem. I just think that people just evolve to being able to work their instruments in with contact because of maybe the programming, the code, and its ease of use, and not to mention a really good support and development from Native Instruments. So if they have problems with their instruments in code, Native Instruments can kind of say, let's do this. I think we got it with it. They can, a bigger team of people behind you to fix these patches and correct it and keep your instrument supported. I get that totally. It's part of that cost when these guys do this. And I don't know, honest to God, the whole ins and outs of that. I'm kind of speaking out of the side of my mouth a little bit on some of that. I'm just assuming that's what that is. But guys, in a nutshell, not to make this too long, don't panic. We're going to be fine. Now that we know it's in process, we're just going to keep our eyes out for who's taking in the native stuff and the heaviosity and the ozone and all the other stuff, or who's going to do what. It's going to be interesting. Either way, we paid for it. In some form or fashion, I think it's going to work out and we'll be fine. Until then, I will see you guys on the next one, and hoping that something cool comes on. I'm getting a lot of music done. I've got a lot of briefs from the beginning of the year. About 3 or 4 I'm having to get through, and from the end of the year to the new year here, I've been working on. And just living life. And hope you are too. Royalty statement's coming up in a few weeks. I hope yours is through the roof. And we're looking for that exponential growth as always, guys. Stay positive, stay productive, and just know that you can do this. We all can. It's a long game, but you gotta love the journey and love it dearly in order to take the ride on that long journey and do it. So anyway, I'm off. Be cool. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Be cool. Bye.